Hi, I'm Dr. Dan Tomasulo, and this is a really wonderful opportunity for us to talk about what it means to thrive. I'm excited about spending some time with you because I think the science that has emerged in the last, maybe 2 decades or so is unbelievable. It's amazing. And I really want to share it with you because it turned my life around in ways that I couldn't have even imagined. So maybe that's a good place to start. Just like, well, first of all, why are they letting me teach this? And how did I get here? Well, I was a psychologist. I've been a psychologist for a very long time. But about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or so, I went through a really rough time. And I was a fairly happy person and, just kind of enjoyed life like everybody else and never really struggled with chronic depression or anything like this. But what I could tell you is that I went through this really rough time and I couldn't shake it. It really stuck with me. And I, at that time, had a lot of tools. I really knew what I should do, what psychology told me I should do, and nothing worked. And so that really kind of threw me off. I was in a crummy spot for quite a while, and then it started to affect other areas of my life. And I can tell you, there is nothing worse in the world than a depressed psychologist. I'd be listening to people, and they'd be telling me about their depression. And I think, you think that's bad. I never actually said that. And I was in supervision and I had a lot of my own therapy, but nothing was working. And I really didn't know what to do. I thought for sure some of these things, there was a lot of psychology and science around, and I knew a lot of people and things. Something should pull me out of this. But when it started to go past a year and into the second year, and I realized everything was not quite as it should be. A friend of mine who was a positive psychologist started to talk to me about, there's this new field coming, and it's positive psychology, and it's PERMA, and it's Marty Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania, and they're having this big conference. So he invited me to go to the conference, and I said, no, I don't want to be around a couple of thousand happy, positive psychologists. I'm miserable. I'm going to stay miserable. But he didn't pay attention to me, which is what really good friends do. And he got us tickets to the conference. I have to tell you, when I was there, it absolutely blew my mind. I got to listen to the new research, and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, if even part of this is true, even a little bit of this is true, psychology is on the absolute verge of a new dawn. Because they were talking about using some incredibly simple techniques to really change how we feel in the world. And that became a powerful thing for me to learn. So I went to the conference, and I was excited, but I wasn't really sure that these simple things would work. Things like gratitude, like having more gratitude for things in your life, or having gratitude for the day before. What I was feeling felt like a battleship, and I thought they were giving me the tools of like a pea shooter. I never thought that doing these small things would really help improve my mood, but the research was good. And I started doing some very simple things. And what got me so excited is that doing these few things, these couple of interventions for about 30 days, changed my life around. And nothing that psychology that I had access to had done that in the past. Nothing lifted my mood. But these things did, and they did it in a way that was very simple, very organic, very engaging. And I didn't have to sort of leave my work or leave my home or do this in order to feel better. I could keep doing what I was doing and just have these small practices. So that got me thinking about going back to school. And so I actually went to the University of Pennsylvania and studied with Marty Seligman in the Masters of Applied Positive Psychology. Now, when I did that, I was really thinking, well, whatever it is that they have in this program, I'll probably just kind of gobble it up pretty quickly and just learn how to do that, because if it's working for me, maybe it'll work for my patients and students and like that. And when I got there, I started to get exposed to a broader and deeper layer of research that just kept exciting me. So I had a couple of tools that I had learned, some simple things to increase my positive emotions. And then I started to learn about engagement and what I could do to really become more connected to what I was doing, because when I wasn't feeling so great, I felt disconnected, right? Then I started to hear about relationships and how I could improve my relationships, and then improve my meaning and purpose in life. And then finally, how I could have more of what I wanted in life through accomplishments. Now, that was because I was learning about this theory that Marty had about PERMA. And it's a construct. It means that instead of trying to use one thing to explain what makes us happy, they use 5 things. They use positive emotions, engagement, relationship, meaning, and achievement. Now, the truth of the matter is, if you have one of those things, you might think you're happy, right? If you talk to somebody who gets high on a drug, they might have a lot of positive emotions, but they might not have any of the other ones. And so I started to think more about this stuff in terms of all the different ways that we could have joy in our life, how we could be happy in our life, how we could thrive. And as I went through that program, I started to really enjoy it and read more and gain more experience, use them on myself, started using them with my patients, started using them with my students. And lo and behold, what began was this sense that this stuff works. It really works. Because now it wasn't just me. It was all the people that I was using it with. They said, geez, this is really great. I feel better. And what was important about this is that this wasn't about just a one-time feeling good thing. This is about how do you create positivity on a regular basis. How do you start doing that on a regular basis so that little by little by little by little by little, you know how to use these techniques to transform your feelings. And then it becomes a real fun thing to start adding to your toolbox. Because I had 1 or 2 tools in the beginning that were working, but I didn't want to rely on just them, so I learned more and more and more. Now, I don't know, maybe I've got 50, 60, 70 tools in that toolbox. And depending on what I need, I can take them out and use them to feel better. This theory, this PERMA theory, is very wide-ranging, right? Because we're looking at 5 different areas: positive emotions, engagement, relationship, meaning, and accomplishment. We're looking at these 5 different ways of improving our well-being. And it's just as if I were trying to explain the weather to you, right? If somebody said, how's the weather? And I said, it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't have enough information. You don't know if it's raining or if it's windy or if the sun's out. You don't know enough with one measure. But with 5, if I said, well, here's the humidity, here's the cloud cover. If I started to explain it that way, you get a much richer sense. And this is the way that well-being is now understood. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other theories out there. But this is the one that's gained the most attention because there are researchers doing research constantly. So when I finished up the program, I was invited to be on the faculty at UPenn as Marty's assistant. And then things just took off. I started teaching this, designing classes, then lecturing more about it, then doing my own research and starting to pull things together because I realized that these things had brought about a transformation in me. And this transformation was noticeable to everybody around me. My family noticed it. My friends noticed it. And even my colleagues noticed it. They said, my goodness, your energy is back, but not just back. I didn't just reclaim something I had lost. I didn't bounce back. I bounced forward. So let's do a couple of things as we bring this free class here to a close. I want you to know that this was not designed for any particular age group or anything like that. This is for students. This is for teenagers, parents, for professionals, because we know that these principles work. How you use them and where you use them, that's going to be up to you. But actually what we're hoping for is that you get your toolbox started. This course is really going to help you start to fill that toolbox and teach you what tools to use when. So I'd like to end with a meditation. And this meditation is going to change your body because it's going to allow you to use one of the techniques in the course to change your biochemistry. So are you ready for that? So if you're feeling as though you're in a safe place to do this meditation, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just take a moment to arrive, to be here. And as you take this moment to arrive, to just become aware of your breathing and your body. Not to change anything, but to just notice it. Now, believe it or not, you've just done one of the most powerful things anybody could do to change their well-being, because you're allowing yourself to have pause for thought. It's an act of self-regulation. So even if you only stop for a moment, if you do it intentionally, you are already building a skill. Isn't that lovely? As you think about it, how easy it is to begin to thrive. Because sometimes all we have to do is just stop. And stopping creates a positivity in and of itself. But we're going to add to it. I'd like you to think back during this week and find a moment of joy, real joy. Think about what that felt like. Just take a minute. Pull that up in your mind's eye and think about what it was like to feel that joy. And importantly, hold on to that, savor it. Now what you'll notice is that as you hold on to the joy, your body changes just a little bit. You might notice that there's a little tiny bit of warmth in your chest, and wouldn't that make sense? Because you're likely to be producing hormones and chemicals that are connected with joy just by recalling it. So look at this. In what, a minute? You've done two really powerful principles. The first is having pause for thought, which is a type of self-regulation. And the second is about harvesting positive emotions that have already happened, just bringing them forward. So as you open your eyes and return, Thank you for joining me, and I certainly hope that you take the class, that you join it, and that I'll see you there.